I feel so overwhelmed,
Mm.
extremely overwhelmed, and I want to thank you for recruiting me. I feel recruited.
Yeah.
That's a good
By such a great movement, which is a movement in its character. I'm not talking religion. The type of people who are here.
Yeah.
That's what our forebears died for. They died for a South Africa that is inclusive, where everyone,
Yes, sir.
across religion,
Yes, sir.
color, culture,
Yes, sir.
on the basis of humanity,
Yes, sir.
come together like this.
Hey.
When the African National Congress was born, it came to birth because the nation was divided. I always correct this thing. We call you Rabbi. Yeah. I'm going to master the skill. Just give me a month or 6 months. I'm going to master the skill because I'm a new recruit who's going to be part of you. Our nation was divided. Because the nation was divided, our nation could not prosper. It was divided on the basis of ethnicity, of race, even religion. It was divided on gender. And because it was a divided nation, it was a weak nation. Because it was a divided nation, foreigners came and took the wealth of this country away. I'm not sure if those who watch social media, I'm not sure if it's lions, where they have caught a prey. But they were not sure which one of them. They were fighting for it. Or a buffalo. They had caught a buffalo. Now they decided to fight over a buffalo. As they were fighting, the buffalo left. It's in the video. I've watched it. I said, this is exactly what is happening in our country. This is what happened in our country. God gave us South Africa, one of the richest countries in the world, in endowment, minerals, everything. Instead, the nation got divided. But because the nation got divided, those who came from outside took the wealth. And we remained alone, divided, and poor. This is the reason why our movement was established. Those who might have listened to me on Thursday, when I was responding to, I think it was Friday, I'm not sure now, or it was Monday. When I was responding to the speech of the president, I was saying, the president has been calling for consensus.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if people listen. He's calling for consensus. The president says, unless this country comes together, there is no asset that surpasses unity. There's no asset that surpasses unity. You know, the advantage of working together, you can turn stones into bread. You can make impossibilities possibilities.
Yeah.
But if you are divided, it doesn't matter how wealthy you are. You're going to kill one another. And you are going to leave that world. Now, I am overwhelmed because that's why our forebears died. They were dying for a united South Africa. Now, what I said on Monday is that there are two critical things that we must never separate. Correction of the ills of the past and ensuring that we're a South Africa that everyone belongs to. And I said these two things. You cannot fight for a united South Africa without correcting the ills of the past.
Yes.
You cannot correct the ills of the past at the expense of a united South Africa. So in other words, these two are two sides of the same coin, nation building. Even those who exploited us, they have got authentic fear about their future. Those who have exploited are angry about the pain they suffered. So, but these two, without being together, there will be no nation. So, you cannot correct the problems of the past by dividing the nation. You cannot unite us in future by ignoring the hurt of the past.
Yeah.
Can't do that. The two are two sides of the same coin, nation building. We, just last week, Minister Mteto presented a memo that we were behind in reporting, Bishop Ngubele,
Yes, sir.
on the movement in the world called promotion of diversity of cultural expressions. Diversity. Promotion of the diversity of cultural expression. In other words, making sure that there is no culture that is destroyed.
Yeah.
That's a world movement. And we endorsed that report, that South Africa is a member of this movement, that we support protection of the differences of culture. Because at the bottom, there's one thing that unites us: humanity. So there's no prosperity. So I feel overwhelmed because I was saying to my team, during COVID, I'm sure some of you must have seen us on the virtual, when we were trying to convince churches why you must only keep 30 people, 40 people. The last meeting we had with the churches, they roasted us for 4 hours. You were there. 4 hours. And I said to the deputy president, let's listen to them. And the deputy president said, no, I'm here to listen to them. Whether they keep us for the whole night, let us listen to them. Because they were saying to us, you don't know what made you. You don't know what put you there. Suddenly you think without us, you can exist. One reverend, I think it's from a Bantu church, I can't remember. She said, our country has degenerated. The value system has gone wayward. Children are loose. Everything is in a mess.
Yeah. Yeah.
She said the only thing you have is the religious community that can still bring this country together. She says now you don't want the church to worship, but you allow the drunkards to go to nightclubs. You allow taxis to fill in excess. You allow malls to be congested, but you don't want the church to serve. The church, that is the pillar of your life.
Wow.
4 hours, we listened. Bishop Mbego, my respect for humanity was promoted by my mother, but it was advanced and consolidated by the church.
Yes. Wow.
how I learned to respect people without condition. That I was taught by the church. I have taught Rabbi, my kids, that no one owes you anything. I've taught my children that you have no right to have your idea accepted. You must sell them. No one was born to accept your ideas. You are responsible for selling your ideas. Because this is what my mother taught us, who could not read and write. Our father left us a very, quite an educated, brilliant chap, who I loved until he died. But the chap, the person who brought us up, was our mother, who could not read and write. We were 5, she would put us here and say, every time you have got a problem, she said, the first question you must ask, what do I do? She says, it doesn't matter who brought that problem to you. Whether somebody hit you, but once it's with you, it's your problem. And my mom said, the first person to start a process of resolving is yourself. My mom says you must never make your problem the problem of other people. And she says, as a result, you will live, my child, without hatred. Because you won't be looking around and say, I am this thing because of so and so. Because you have taken responsibility for your life. After 94, we got our freedom.
Yes.
From 94 onward, it is our responsibility to heal our nation, to rescue our country. We can't keep on complaining about people who oppressed us. And the fact they oppressed us is because they did not want us to succeed. So they cannot change overnight, but we can convince them. So all I'm saying, I am overwhelmed. Because the biggest challenge in our country today, because of hunger, poverty, lack of water, we've left our people in sewage and a lot of things, and their dignity has actually been undermined. And that has divided the country. People start missing where they come from. Says, no, I'm a Xhosa, maybe I must check where are the Xhosas. Under these circumstances, I'm a Zulu, I must look where other Zulus are. I guess I'm Afrikaner, ik moet andere mensen zoeken, waar is die andere mensen? Kina bagay Basotho. It's when people can no longer believe in the national cohesion. Because, I want to say this, Bishop Mbeko, I've gone to Africa, I've said this. The more I go to the broader Africa, our continent, the more I see how divided people on basis of tribe. And I come and look at my country, and I look what Mandela and others did to bring our country together. I feel we are blessed because it's only in South Africa where a vendor like our president, they are a small group. He is elected on the basis of his capability. They celebrate him in Mthatha. They celebrate him in Sixes. They don't care what his tribe is. When they see Cyril, they see their president. When Msholozi was a president, they saw their president. They didn't say he's a Zulu. In Limpopo, we must not undermine what our forebears did in undermining divisions on the basis of tribe. When I went in some other countries, they still maim assassinate one another on the basis of tribe. Here, we are fighting about other things. Theft, usela, we are fighting for stealing, for looting, corruption. We are not killing one another on the basis of tribe.
Yeah.
Criminals, fraudsters, that's how we are killing one another. Something we must fight. And it can never be ended by us if we are not cohesive.
That's true.
Right? So Cyril Ramaphosa, Mandela, all of them, Thabo Mbeki, Motsoaledi, Mugabe, you can list all these great leaders. Huh? You can go, Yengwa, Luthuli, all of them. Oliver Tambo, they fought for the cohesion of human. And I can tell you, the fact that in South Africa, we don't vote on the basis of tribe, we must give that a big hand.
Yeah.
When we vote, we don't look around. Is he a vendor? Is he a Sutu? We are looking for good leaders. You can check our surveys.
Yeah.
The most trusted leader today is Cyril across the country. You can go and check it in your own independent survey. It's got nothing to do with the fact that he's a vendor. They are trusting him that he's a leader. It's the victory of our forebears. And they said we must shoot tribalism on sight when we see it. Now you are keeping that purpose together. We must respect our religion. I usually say, Bishop Gregor,
Yes, sir.
don't tolerate a religion. Accept it. If I'm a Christian, I must not say I am tolerating a Muslim. It's a painful job. I must say I accept his right to exist.
Yeah.
Tolerance is a very difficult thing. It's a painful thing. Please tolerate. If we can read the word tolerate,
Yeah.
it's not a good exercise. But to understand and accept one's right to exist
Yes.
is an easier way. In other words, in your head, to say God created him and he opted to be a Muslim. God created him, he opted to follow Judaism. God created him, he opted to follow Christianity, he's a Rastafarian. God created him, he is following Kamata. But all of them, these are Christians of God.
Yeah.
Now, please, I'm your recruit.
Yeah.
But, Bishop,
Yes, sir.
I think what the religion must not be tired of is to make sure every day you still improve unity, even in the religious sector.
Yes, sir.
Even here, I know you will find that there are still other groupings. We must never be tired of bringing our people together. Because the biggest challenge we have now, which is under threat, is the value system.
Yes, yes, yes.
I can tell you, countries that are prosperous today, their cornerstone is their identity, is their value system. You can go to the Indians, you can go to Chinese. I can list a number of them. Countries that are successful are countries with a common identity. Unity in diversity.
Unity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's what O.R. Tambo used to say.
Mm.
Peaceful South Africans united in diversity. So before I take much of time, because you have touched my, I didn't know I'm coming to a forum like this.
Always.
I have no doubt my president, when we give a report, he'll be extremely happy about this. But I thought it was also important to say, as my last point, that The president addressed the nation on Thursday, analyzing the problems of the country. He said, I'm using my own words, not always his words,
Yeah.
but meaning the same thing. It's difficult to repeat exactly the words because it means I must start smiling. Like when he smiles, I smile. And smile. But I'm going to say what I understood the president was saying. The president said, our people are living in a desperate situation. No less than 14 million people are hungry. 11 million people are unemployed. Unemployment has gone up. Economy has gone back. And he announced major programs. Huge infrastructure, multi-billion program, which I, Minister and the President, it's my duty to make sure that I follow whether it is being implemented or not. When he makes announcement, I go to the ground. He has got an easy job. He makes an announcement. I dirty my overalls. I always wait and hear what announcement is he going to make. If he says multi-billion infrastructure, I start asking who is responsible for it? Where is it? So that our people can have access to water. Announce the Mzimbubu project, multi-billion project of about 4 or 3 dams, Nandoni, the Limpopo, a number of these other areas, water resources. Our people must have access to water. He announced the intervention in energy so that over time, this what do you call it? Load shedding must go because it threatens investors. People are doubting, I start my firm here, I am not sure whether it's going to have electricity. So he has already announced the interventions in energy. The other thing he spoke about is to promote small businesses. In a lot of countries, the biggest employer is small businesses. But in South Africa, we're not doing well on that. So the president says we must remove the red tape. So a small business, infrastructure, water, electricity, energy, and so on. The president announced all those things. On infrastructure, he expects work of about 21 billion, a new project of about 21 to take place this year. Already there are others in Musina. I want to see it myself. Huge work that is being done there to turn around our infrastructure so that investors, when investors come to invest in your country, there must be roads that are functioning properly. They must have access to water. They must have access to energy. It must be a safe country. You got the report of Mufumadi, Sidney Mufamadi, Professor Sandy, about what was the reason that we had violence in July.
Yes.
We are criticized as cabinet that we slept on duty, we ourselves. And the president said on our behalf, he accepts that.
Yeah.
This is the president who doesn't run away from the criticism, from the blame. He doesn't say, no, it can't be me. He does something that I've never seen being done. Zono Commission is given to him. He puts it in the website the following day so that you can see everything yourself. The SIU brings a report, he puts it in the website, and he says he's going to report end of February, what are we doing with the findings of the SIU. He says end of June, we are going to report to Parliament, how are we implementing the recommendation. There's nothing under this president which is hidden, because he understands the best way to deal with criminals, you must put them in the open, so that you're not the only one who sees a criminal. Well, the president can't be everywhere.
Yes.
So to expose them, the story that is written by Zondo about them must be there for anyone to read. So that when this individual walks to you, you must say, this name I saw in Zondo Commission. Right? The other laws the president has passed now on GBV, that people who harass women are going to be on the register. So that wherever you go, this Ngungubele, oh, this one, he is a rapist, he is a harasser of women. They are going to be put in the register for a long time.
Thank you.
So that you see them. If he comes to propose, you go to Google and check if he is not in the register. Even if he's looking for a job, is he not in the register? This is what this president is doing. Those laws have been passed now. What are we going to? So all I'm saying, there's a commitment to do a lot of good things, but we cannot do them alone as government. A movement like this is very critical. I was saying to the president, one of the things we need to do, and the president agrees with this, is that Minister Peggy was presenting a memorandum on the prevention of crime. Remember, prevention means what can we do so that there is no crime? It's not talking about crime which is already there. In other words, how do you create conditions where crime is low? We analyze this. One of the things we agree upon is that sport is critical. Arts and culture programs are critical. Recreation facilities at school are critical. Because the advantage of all these things, they bring children together. Children start valuing one another because they are playing football together. That 11 which is playing football, they are entering that club not because they love one another, they want to win. But they realize that unless they love one another, they are not going to win. After playing football for 20 years, you suddenly appreciate the role of other people in your life. You learned that in football. Or you go and be an actor in theater. For the group to succeed, you must work together. You must be disciplined. You must work hard. So you get your results because you worked together. You get your results because you worked hard. You got your results because you loved one another. You start appreciating that without love there is no success. Without hard work there is no success. But the sport teaches you that. Arts and culture teaches you that. You protect the stadium because you know without the stadium there will be no football. You protect the theater because you know without the theater there is no art. But all those things together, they are nation builders. I'm calling upon you, let's work together on that. I'm so touched, Bishop. I could talk for the whole day.
I know you.
Because I was asked to come and greet, I want to thank you very much for keeping a movement like this. But I will request you, make the circle bigger. Thank you very much.